Hi, my name's Russell Pearson. Welcome back for another Rusty production. Today we're going to be trying our hand at something a little different. Turning this railroad spike into a tomahawk. So I picked up a couple of these railroad spikes at a local blacksmith fair, and $4 each. That's not too bad. I'm about to get a whole bunch more, I believe. My brother-in-law works near railroads, so we'll see how we go there. But I'm going to be keeping this end as a bit of a hammer, so I'll have to move the metal down a little and try and even that out. But the trick for me is to make sure that my brake drum forge, which isn't that big, can get the heat that I need to really get this hot and upset the metal so I can turn this side into the blade. So let's get started. Okay, so we've got the railroad spike in there. I've got a fair bit of charcoal in there too, which is why it's going absolutely crazy with the sparks. But I want that charcoal in there to get the coke really nice and hot. And once we get that rolling, then I won't need as much charcoal, and I can just sort of just top it up from time to time to keep the coke hot. Alright, I've got it nice and hot. Again, I don't have the right tongs for this. I thought that there was a way to make some railroad spike holding tongs. Haven't made them yet. Well, that's looking well and truly upset. So I'll just straighten out that a little bit and then we'll start looking at how we can draw it out. I'm going to try and spread out what will be the blade bit a bit. Bit of a smell in the air. These are galvanized. Always burning galvanized something. Alright, well, I'll stop using these and we'll come back. Whoop. Even out the edge of this hammerhead here. Oh geez, too hot. I'm not holding it particularly well. It always tends to pinch around here and here. So if anyone knows why it's pinching like that, I'd love to know. It's really hot in the forge today. And the only reason I'm wearing the beanie at all is actually keep the sweat in my eyes. Might end up having to wear one of those tennis handbag headbands from the 80s. that might look a little bit chicer. So summer's going to be hot. It's going to be interesting to see how much forging I can actually do, give the heat, because it's going to go up by at least 10-15 degrees on top of where it is today. Oh, and it is hot. I'll got the heat on the metal, and we will come back soon. Your tongue didn't like that. Look at these. Wow. Crack. There's a crack right through the edge of those tongs right there. They are officially dead. Look at that. That is really depressing. Alright. So, before I go any further, I want to punch the hole through the center here. I just wanted to make sure that I had a flat edge on the back that I could work to, so if I put that in there I can actually punch straight through. So let me heat up the center part, well then we'll get punching. Alright, so a little off center, so I'm just going to try and correct that. Alright, you can see it. It's a better spot for it. Heat it up again, we'll go through. I think I can see our mark there. Go through on the other side. Now I just need to shear through it. Really getting stuck in there, isn't it? Just about there. Alright, rough as can be, but we're through. See if you can see the daylight. There you go. So now I'm going to get my equivalent of a drift, which is basically this, which isn't great, but I'm going to drift through that, heat it up, drift through it, and widen that hole. Alright, I'll start the drift up here. It will probably end on this other piece over here. Oop. Don't touch the hot metal. There we go. There you go. Bird's eye view. Now I don't have an anvil, I don't have a hardy hole. This is about as good as I can get. Ow! Alright, it's too cold now to keep going, but you can see how we're drifting through. Now I'm going to have to get that a fair bit wider, but I'll just get it the width of the actual drift punch, and then we'll move on to the rest of the path before I get the handle ready. I've got this other piece of solid steel here, which I'm going to be using for something else later, but the hole here might actually be more useful to use than what I've got here, because this is too large. These are too small, and this is actually just about the right size to at least get through the metal, so that I've got, so it goes actually to the proper width of the punch. So at least I'll get through the metal of the hatchet before it actually gets through to the bottom of the hole. So I'm going to try and drift onto this next and see how we go with that. Okay, so with the hole punched through here and the drift being able to go through, the metal's a lot thinner now. So it's a little easier to heat up. So you get the general idea. I can kind of get the general idea a lot more now that it's got the hole through it. It really allows me to see where the rest of the blade's going to be, and then how the hammer's going to turn out. I'm going to have to clean up the hammer area. I'll do that a little later. I'm going to take a break now, but then when I come back I'll start working on tapering out the blade. Be careful, the stuff is hot. cooling down a little bit now. What I'm doing is, there's my handle, and there's the hole that the handle needs to fit into, so I'm just drifting that out a little wider. The only thing I have really on hand, other than this, which is what I'll use shortly, the horn, the only thing I've got on hand is another railway spike. So I'm just going to start it with that, and then get it nice and red hot, and a little bit of a crack there, but I think we can sort that out in a minute. So I've just finished drifting this railway spike through this railway spike to widen the hole. I was using the horn, but as you can see here, the horn has seen better days, and there's a crack riding all the way through there. So I'm going to have to take that off and re-weld it on. So I'm looking for a way to drift this larger, and as far as anything I've got to drift through, this is really the largest thing that I'm working with, which isn't big enough. Because the hole I want to get is going to be closer to something like this, and you can see there's the difference there where the hot parts are and where the hot parts are not. So what I'm doing is I'm heating up this extra big piece of solid carbon steel here, and I'm going to taper that a little bit, and then we're going to have like a temporary drift that I can use to just to widen this hole a little bit. So it's all on the right track. I'm pretty happy with the way it's going, and you can see that it's got the axe head there, and the hammer on the other side is starting to get there. But I will say, this is a different type of metal that I'm used to working with. I'm used to working with mild steel, and this is not that. So I've got no idea what it's made up of, but I would suggest that it's high carbon. As you can see, I've built that right up. We've got the fan on high, and we should be very soon at forging temperature. Well, it's quite pinched, you can see right there, but I think it will drift what we need. Clean it up a little bit. We're just widening the hole. So there's my temporary drift. We use that just to widen the hole. It's a waste of good metal, but I'm not wasting it. I just tapered it, so that's fine. We can come back and use it later. Definitely widening it. It might take a little bit of time though. I'll come back when it's finished. As you can see, I'm just about where I want to be. Just going to neaten that hole up, and then I think we're going to be good to go. The only issue is that the metal here is very thin, and really what I want to do is actually have that as wide as possible so it actually holds onto the wood. So I'm going to have to play with that a little bit, but I'll come back as soon as that's done. Alright, so clearly I'm exhausted. You can see my face. I literally am shaking at this point. These railway spikes are hard work, and I need to show you what has happened. Because I've made it so thin through the center here. Oh, that's hot. Oh, hot, hot, hot. It's still hot. That has actually cracked. So I'll show you on this side. It's cracked on both sides. It's too thin here. It's supposed to actually be the tallest part because it's supposed to hold onto the handle. Clearly haven't been able to do that, and it's because I've got nothing to drift it through. So I've got to fix up the horn on the anvil so that I can actually use that to widen this area, because drifting it through this rubbish that I've got here, and you know, with this large piece of steel and this as well, it's just squashing it, and we don't want to squash it. We need to actually drift it if we're going to do that. So this is a failure. It's cracked on both sides. I'm not going to be able to use it for any length of time as an actual axe or even a hatchet. There's the handle, there's the axe. They will come together soon, but it's probably going to take me a couple of weeks to get back to doing this. I'll have some other videos in between. Apologies, we didn't get to the end of it. I will put the words failure at the start so you know what you're in for. But yeah, railway spikes. I've got to work out how to actually work with them. I believe they are hard carbon steel, and I think this is good steel for me to working with. But I've broken tools in this. I've done all sorts of things wrong. I've cracked the anvil again. So yes, failure on all counts. What have I learned? Don't make it so thin. Okay, I've already know that lesson. So don't make it so thin. It will get cracked, and be careful when you're working it as it cools down. So, if you want to watch more of these failures, hopefully some successes in the future, please subscribe because I will be having more videos out shortly. If you like the video, hit a like. If you've got some helpful commentary, I would love that in the comments below. But until next time, thanks so much for watching.